The Big 12 tournament for men's tennis has been set in terms of seeds, and I know it's not showing on the bracket right now, but I know what the seeds are going to be up front, and it'll be played in Stillwater, Oklahoma, as in like Oklahoma State's hosting this, and it would be played from April 19th to 21st. Obviously, if BYU gets to the championship, they'll play the next day on the 22nd because they don't play on Sundays. And it's not like in the past where the top two seeds get a bye. It's not that. Everybody plays 3 matches in 3 days or 4 days, depending if BYU does make it to the championship, which how likely is that? They're winless in conference, but you never know. So the 2 seed Oklahoma will take on the 7 seed Texas Tech at noon, and all times listed here are Central. Now the 3 seed is TCU. They'll take on the 6 seed Baylor at noon. Now the 4 seed UCF will take on Oklahoma State at 3 p.m. The 1 seed Texas will take on the 8 seed BYU at 3 p.m. So that's obvious, and I'm going to be up front. Texas Tech and BYU, the only shot they're going to make the NCAA tournament is to win the conference tournament. They're ranked too low. They don't have a winning record like Texas Tech does. They're having a really down year this year. And obviously, the winner of the Oklahoma and TCU matches will play each other the next day on April 20th at 3 p.m. While the winners of the UCF and Texas matches will play at 3 p.m. as well. And obviously the winner of the semifinal matches will play the next day. Or if it has to be on a Sunday because BYU is there on a championship, it's at 1 p.m. So I'm just going to say that up front. And granted, I do not know about everybody's injuries. However, I do know something about TCU, unlike some folks. Jake Fernley has been out, the core 1/2 guy, since the Texas second conference match. I also know Sebastian Gorsny's been out since conference play began. Ever since that first match. He hasn't played a single match in the conference this year. So they're down 2 guys, and who knows if they're going to even have those guys. And supposedly, like a few weeks ago when TCU lost to Oklahoma, the recap on that for that week on Crack Rackets, somebody asked Sebastian Gorsny at that Texas match what it is. It's a stress fracture. Supposedly, that's just hearsay. And out for 6 weeks. So he's probably not likely to play, but who knows if he would be playing. And I just know Jake Fernley, last time when Baylor played TCU in Waco, he was serving underhand. So he clearly has a shoulder problem. So, and supposedly he was projected to be in the lineup against UCF yesterday, but then TCU pulled him. Like, according to live stats, they must have pulled him, or the live stats were not correct. So I don't know what the deal is there, but it is a big concern for TCU to not have 2 guys. And will they pull a stunt like, I know it's a different sport and everything, like Kansas men's basketball, but take 2 players and don't play them for the tournament? I mean, why risk further injury to those 2 players? And no matter what, TCU is going to be a top 8 seed unless something chaotic happens and they're not even going to be a top 8 seed. And Oklahoma could technically play themselves up to an 8 seed, a top 8 seed, believe it or not. And you know the difference between an 8 seed and a 9 seed is. You go on the road as a 9 seed if you make it to a Sweet 16 match. That's a lot more difficult than playing at home. And Texas should be safe no matter what. Though they could try to play themselves higher. Like maybe a 2 seed. Maybe if they could catch up to Virginia, but I don't know. Maybe as high as a 3. For sure, a 3. A 3 is more reasonable. But it also depends on results around them. And I also know it's just funny that UCF is playing Oklahoma State again. And last time those two teams played, UCF won in Orlando 4-3. And I know Baylor's played TCU twice already. And TCU was down one guy on each match, but different guys. TCU's won both, like 4-2 in a non-conference and 4-1 in conference, despite losing doubles in the last match. But if they're down two guys, that makes a difference. Because you gotta admit, when you're not healthy, you could be flirting with disaster. I mean, TCU almost lost to UCF yesterday. They lost doubles point. I mean, and somehow came back to win 4-3. And they had some insane scores in terms of tiebreakers. If those don't go their way, the match continues, or they straight up lose. Like a number 6 was just tiebreaker. You can't assume that, and I don't know how likely it is if Sebastian Gorsny is going to play. I really highly doubt it. Jake Fernley, though, I don't know. But will they just pull that stunt, like I said, like Kansas in men's basketball, and say, nope. And Baylor should be in the tournament no matter what. They should be. Though a win over TCU would help, obviously, or get to the championship match. Somehow. Obviously, like another win or two would really help. And Oklahoma State, they should be in no matter what, too, because the cut line is really extended out, but it's assuming that Pepperdine's going to have a losing record, and that's not going to be the case. And I already know LSU's going to have a winning record after tomorrow. But the problem is, if they lose a first match in the SEC tournament, LSU does, they're done for they're no NCAA tournament. So then it will become extended again. And I just know TCU should be, and I already calculated this about TCU, but that's assuming nothing else happens. Or not expect, like, I didn't calculate what else is going to happen in all those conference tournaments this week. And all the matches that going to be happening this upcoming week. They should be a top 8 seed no matter what. That's not the question. It's a question of how high can they be? Can they stay at 3? That's the thing, because there's a difference between facing a 14 seed in a Sweet 16 potentially and a 12 seed. I'm just saying, like in terms of Sweet 16, I'm just saying that. And obviously, that if TCU were to lose to Baylor, and assuming everything else, nothing chaotic happens, and all this, they could drop more than just a 5. They might. So that's kind of why that's kind of important for TCU. Even if they just win one match, I don't know if that would be enough to keep them, make sure they're not any lower than a 5, though. If they obviously lose to Oklahoma, which they did lose to Oklahoma at Oklahoma 4-3, if they get a rematch with those guys, I don't know if they're going to. And that was without both Fernley and Gorsny for that match for TCU as well. So they're were depleted for that match. So, and another thing I want to note here, before I exit out of this video here. The 1 seed in the Big 12 tournament for men's tennis has not won it since 2017. Can Texas do it and break it? Because if they do, they might move themselves up to be a 3 seed. And in Oklahoma, like I said, they have to find a way to be a top 8 seed somehow. But if they were to face Baylor in a second round, which I'm calling that a 50-50, like 45 to 50% chance Baylor could win. If TCU was obviously healthy, I would say TCU is going to win 85 to 75%, or something like that. Or down one guy, 30%, or 30 to 35, 30 to 40%. But obviously, if Oklahoma plays Baylor and Oklahoma beats Baylor, I don't know how much of the points is going to really help them. That's the thing. But you can't expect TCU necessarily to help you in that matter. So you just got to find a way just to get to the championship, no matter who it is, and then try to win it. Because obviously, if Oklahoma would go to the championship and win it, they should be a top 8 seed. They should be. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. On the road to 600 subscribers, of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 or more. So, make money out this course. Like the video, comment video, really helps YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well so more people can watch. And if we're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe buttons for the notification bell as well.